Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm super excited to showcase the Fawn High Five Kit with a card matching envelope and a matching hexagon shaped shaker tag. So included in the kit is a honeycomb shaker gift tag dies, stripes in sprinkles, petite paper pack, honeycomb stencil, sparkle glaze, and then the high five stamp and coordinating die set. Basically everything you need to create this cute set and any of the other inspiration that you see from Fawn design team members with this kit. It is absolutely phenomenal. I could not love it more. I am using Fossilized Amber and Wild Honey Distress Oxide inks on a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel of smooth white cardstock, using that largest honeycomb shape to create my background for the card. And this was a work in progress. I had tried several things with the different stencils, and ultimately this was the one I felt like I liked best for this particular card design. I'm using the Tonic magnetic mat to hold my stencil in place. You can see I've stenciled the honeycomb in 3 different areas and different amounts of that on my background. And then I'm simply going to take my blending brush and I am going to ink around the edges of the panel and just kind of pull that color in and actually color in the rest of the panel with whatever ink is left on my brush. I like how it softens the look of the honeycomb a bit, and I really like that it adds color all over the background. Then I'm going to go ahead and ink up a little additional wild honey ink and go around the edges to give them a little bit more definition to help frame up this background we're creating today. So some of you might know that I have been sharing some floss tube videos where I'm just sharing my cross stitch and quilting hobby and the progress that I make weekly. And I did a Hive rules design, which was a bee themed project, cross stitch project, and my card today is inspired by that. Once I have my background ink blended, I did take a little bit of the Fawn Liquid Stardust, which is one of my all-time favorite Fawn products, and I haven't used it in a hot minute, and it reminded me how much I love this product, and I'm splattering it all over the background. And it's going to give it me splatter, yes, but it's going to be sparkly splatter. Oh my goodness, you guys, I loved how this turned out. So kind of back to my cross stitch and how that translates into today's card. I loved that it was a combination of little images and text in that Hive Rules cross stitch chart. And so when I went to design my card today, that is what inspired it. So I had laid out all of the text from the High Five stamp set and then the images I wanted to use. And I started out with these images. Now I did pull in, I believe maybe just the large flower here in a bit to kind of finish off my card. After I had my initial images, I felt like I needed a little bit more, but I liked having lots of text and then lots of little images with that text. And I really wanted to kind of just share how inspiration can be found anywhere. So if you do some other hobbies like cross stitch or needlepoint or whatever the case may be, I simply used that as my example since it's one of my hobbies. See if you can garner some inspiration from those places on your next card making project. I am going to do some no line coloring ink today with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. In the description here on YouTube, I have added the marker colors I am using for easy reference, so definitely check that out if you want to know at any time exactly what I'm using. I know I am using brown and light brown for the beehive. I purposely made the beehive and I think a little bit of the honey pot a little darker than what I'm going to do the bees. Because this is no line coloring, I did take the Tombow multi-liners. I believe I'm using the 5 and the 1, and I did outline the antennae of my bumblebees, and I will also color in the face, or not color, but well, I will color in the face, but I'll draw in those details with my fine tip 1 pen once I have colored those. That's a little colorless blender there to add the lighter little highlight areas on each area of my beehive. And then I originally had just gone with the brown and light brown for the opening, but I think a little dark brown will make this a little more interesting, and so I did pull in that color there. And I think no line coloring works super well for this. I really liked how it ended up looking. Next, mustard and pale yellow is the color combination I'm going to use for my bumblebees, and then platinum brown and warm gray too. This is kind of some go-to colors for me as far as a mustardy yellow. I didn't want a bright yellow. I wanted something that matched the fossilized amber and wild honey distress oxide inks a little bit. This bumblebee has a party blower. One of the other bumblebees has a party hat. One has a crown. She must be the queen bee. And then of course we've got our honey pot and honey dipper. There will be additional stamping from the High Five Kit, or stamp set, High Five Kit and stamp set, once we get to moving these images onto our card, and I will show you that here in a little bit. I left the coloring in a little bit slower. It sped up a bit, but I didn't speed it up too much today. I wanted you to be able to kind of see my process. Shadow Mauve was used for the wings on the butterfly, and then because those dark areas would be black if you were stamping the bumblebees with a black ink, since I used no line coloring ink, I went ahead and went back with my black pen and added that detail back in so it's a nice dark black. For the party blower, I chose a deeper red color combination. I think it might even be deep red and pale rose. Again, those exact colors are listed down below. I'm sure I have them somewhere listed out. And then just kind of adding more color for all the bumblebees. From here, after I did one and I liked how it looked, I did go ahead and do the rest of my bumblebees. There are other bumblebees in other Lawn Fawn sets, as well as other images that you might choose to use with this. I tried to stick with the kit just to show you some options of what you can do with this darling kit. I do want to mention that there's a limited number of these kits available at lawnfawn.com, and they are expecting them to go fairly quickly and sell out. It is an exclusive to lawnfawn.com, and I wanted to let you guys know that in the video today. Here is the platinum brown and warm gray too. Platinum brown to me is not what color that is, or maybe it is, but brown just isn't accurate in my opinion. You will know if you follow a lot of my no line coloring videos with zigs, I use a lot of this color combination, and I've said that before in videos that I don't feel like it's brown. What I like about it is I didn't want to color in the face of the bumblebee super dark because I want the expressions on their face to really show. I also want to say the queen bee up here, I messed up her eyelash. I did not color or trace over the stamp line with my pen very nicely. So what I did to fix it was I took a white jelly roll pen and added a little white over it, and when the white dried, I kind of just very carefully added my zig coloring over the top and then took my fine black pen and fixed the eyelash. And don't be afraid to fix things. Yes, I totally could have restamped her. I was just seeing if I could perhaps fix something without starting from scratch. And I did miss that little spot in the middle of little Mr. Bumblebee over here on the left. Don't worry, I will fix that eventually. For her crown, I went back with brown and light brown. I really didn't use a ton of different colors for my coloring today. And then I did opt to take my very, very fine tip 1 marker here and write in honey before coloring. I was afraid that it would get a little lost with the coloring and maybe not be very easy to read. So I did go ahead and write that out. So part of my honey pot, like what I'm imagining is the fabric over the top, and then the label are going to be brown and light brown, and then the rest of the honey pot will be mustard and pale yellow, which is the color we used for the bumblebees. The honey dipper is going to be kind of similar. The dipper, the part that looks like the honeycomb, is going to be brown and light brown, and then the handle itself I colored with a little bit of beige. How cute are these images, you guys? I think they're just darling. I fully expect this kit to sell quickly because it is very, very cute. I'm all about the bumblebees this year. My cross stitching, I even really wanted to sew like this little quilt block. Not to make a whole quilt out of it, just maybe for decor or something, to hang on the wall. I don't know. I have just been all about the little bumblebees. I even bought like a little bumblebee, or not bumblebee, but a beehive container or a little jar decor thing. I don't know. I just think it's so cute. I love it all. You guys will have to let me know in the comments what you think. And then a little deep blue here, an aquamarine blue. I kept with a little bit more of the muted color palette. I didn't go like the bright, you know, just super bright rainbow that I often will do. I didn't feel like that matched the look and feel of this card. And the extra little bits of color here and there is so minimal. So I kept that pretty light. All right, I die cut everything off camera. I am now laying out the bumblebee trails and all of the text I want to use. And you can see I'm kind of playing around with the text and the placement of the different embellishments. And this is where I really took inspiration from that Hive Rules cross stitch pattern. And I will link that cross stitch pattern in the description down below here on the video. So in case you want to see the original inspiration for this, so you can kind of see maybe what I'm talking about, you can check that out if you're interested. Some of you I know are cross stitching it already. Cassie, I'm talking about you. I know several others are as well, but I absolutely love it. Okay. I stamped all of my text and my bumblebee trails with VersaFine ONYX black ink, and then I'm going to take foam adhesive and pop up all of my elements. You guys probably could have guessed that already, my love of foam adhesive squares, and I'm simply going to kind of place these around. So my beehive is right above to the queen bee. How my sentiment is going to read is, my friend, you're sweet as honey, happy birthday to the queen bee. You might be wondering, where's the happy birthday? As always, Lawn Fawn gives us lots of options for sentiments. It doesn't have to be birthday card at all. It could be all kinds of things like friendship card or whatever. But they have a happy birthday that's in this same font, and I considered using it, but then I thought it would be really super fun to have a thought bubble instead as just another fun, whimsical take on the design. So you can see over there on the right side of the screen, the thought bubble is going to be added here in a minute. I need to stamp that still. I'm adding everything else first. If you like, you can stamp and die cut the bumblebee trails separately. Lawn Fawn does have those as part of the dies that coordinate with the stamp set. I personally kind of like them stamped right on the card itself. and I don't die cut very often. Every once in a while, those come in very handy, but I did not use those particular dies today. Oh, I love how it's turning out. I think it's so cute. Now I'm just going to kind of double check my thought bubble, and it's about this point that I really feel I'm missing something. I think that we need a flower next to the beehive here. For whatever reason, that just feels to me like it's going to balance it out. I had wanted to use the flower, but when I laid everything out prior to stamping and coloring, I felt like it was too much. But once I got to this point and I could actually see it, it's very visual out here. I just went ahead and decided to stamp that. Before we get to that point, I did take some of the little words included in the kit. We're just using the buzz, and I'm stamping that with the Wild Honey Distress Oxide ink all over the background. This might be one of my favorite parts of the card. I think it just reinforces the theme, the feel, and stamping it just that tone-on-tone color makes it not be so super bold in your face, and it allows the sentiments to really shine, and it acts more as a supporting cast. So let's go ahead and stamp our thought bubble with black, and then we can stamp the words inside it also in black. And there is a coordinating die for this, but the little bzz is made to fit within that. So is happy birthday. And there's another sentiment in there. I just can't think of it right off the top of my head, and it's not right in front of me. But as always, Lawn Fawn really just knocks it out of the park with thinking through how everything fits together and making it not so one occasion specific, which I really appreciate. It's one of the reasons Lawn Fawn is a go-to for me, and why they just continually bring out things that work together. Fonts are often very similar. They kind of use the same fonts throughout. Not always the exact same font, but you can always find things that work together, and I love that. And as I mentioned a little earlier, bumblebees are in some other stamp sets from Lawn Fawn, so you can definitely pull from those to mix and match. I think a tree branch would be fun to hang the beehive from if you wanted to. I think that would be super cute. Okay, here is our background. Let's go ahead and die cut the little thought bubble. Or maybe, I guess I'm going to color in my flower first. I'm sorry. And then I'm going to die cut all of this at once. I'm a big fan of not rolling things through my die cutting machine more than once. I had mentioned in a live on YouTube, oh, it's been a little bit now, that I was looking to get an electronic die cutting machine, and I just haven't yet. I just haven't pulled the trigger. I guess one hasn't super spoken to me. I do have the Gemini, and someone had mentioned getting the platform. I wrote it down. Of course, I can't think of it right this moment. But there's a certain platform, I think, or sandwich you can use with it, and it's been highly recommended by several people. So I might try that first, since I already invested in that machine. I just don't love it the way it is now, but we'll see. We shall see. I may still end up with the new Tim Holtz die cutting machine. I'll have to see where I go from there. I want a new sewing machine too, so who knows? Too many products. I did deep brown and beige for the flower center, and then mustard and pale yellow for the petals, a couple of great green colors for the stem and the leaves, and then of course we will die cut everything here. The flower to me is a fantastic addition to this card. So the magic of video, I've die cut those two elements now, and I'm taking my favorite foam adhesive squares, and we're just going to glue everything in place, or adhere everything in place. And I want my flower to fit alongside I really feel like underneath is cuter, like the leaf underneath and the flower petal slightly overlapping. Yes, just like that. I knew it would go under. I didn't think I had that much foam adhesive. And then I did add a couple more of the little bzz words up at the top. I felt like that balanced it out. I'm very, very happy with my card. I'm going to glue this to a top fold card base, and our card is finished. But you guys know, when there's a good stencil, I love to create a coordinating envelope. I like to anyway, just with stamps and things, but for me, stenciling on envelopes is such a great way to add a very, very beautiful matching set. So just like before, I'm taking fossilized amber and wild honey, and I'm adding a couple of the little hexagon shaped beehive components to my envelope. We are not going to ink the rest of the envelope like I did the card background. We're going to let these be standalone features. Just feel like that's a little too much ink for the envelope. But I do want to have where we will write the name of the recipient in. I want to frame that up. And so I'm going to place my envelope in my MISTI. I'm going to take a bumblebee trail and one of the bumblebees, and we're going to stamp those with some black ink right here on the card. And I like how it's just kind of gives you a cute little intro into the address. And I think I need my bigger MISTI. So let me see if I switch it out to the, yeah, I'm going to switch it out to the bigger MISTI. It's just going to give me a little more room because I think the bumblebee trail needs to hang off the edge, and I was feeling like I was a little too squished in the mini MISTI. Yes. So there is my bumblebee, and then I picked the heart trail. We'll just stamp that with VersaFine ONYX black ink. Super simple, really cute, and matches our card perfectly. And then on the back flap, sometimes I like to add maybe a little bit of text or a little image or something back there if there's something that matches, because I think it's so cute. Oh, I did add some of the little buzz. I forgot. With the wild honey. And we are going to stamp on that back flap. And for that, I'm going to, again, just stamp that with the VersaFine ONYX black ink. Look how cute that looks together. How fun to send that to someone. And I'm going to use an acrylic block. I didn't even bother lining it up in my MISTI. And it says from the whole hive. I think that's fun. I love that little phrase. And again, everything here is from the Fawn High Five Kit. So, so cute. And that liquid stardust puts the perfect amount of sparkle in the background. I am going to show you a coordinating gift tag. So much fun. I think this would make just the best gift. So you've got your card. You can tie this little shaker tag onto the package, and it is a beautiful presentation. There is this little flower in the flower center that comes with the kit, and I die cut all of it from white cardstock, and I did choose to use Copic markers for the flower and the flower centers here. Very, very light coloring. And there's 3 flowers. These are going to go on the outside of our shaker tag. This little hexagon tag is darling. It can be used with or without the kit. You might want to use some other things. And I did choose to use some of the Stripes and Sprinkles petite paper pack that comes. So we've got some like little yellow stripe paper for the outside frame, and then the yellow polka dot for the inside and for the back. And then the little hexie I did ink up with my Distress Oxide inks. And you can even ink up your pattern paper with your inks as well if you want to add a little bit of shading, and I did. I felt like it made it match a little better, but you still retain the cute pattern of the pattern paper. I'm not trying to cover it up, I'm just trying to add some extra shading and make it a little special. I have 2 of the pattern paper solid tags, 1 solid acetate tag, and I used the Lawn Fawn acetate from my stash, and then a frame for the front. So we're going to glue the frame to the acetate. I used a little liquid adhesive. You don't want to use too much. And then I like to put an acrylic block on top to kind of help hold that flat, and it of course shifted. And then we're going to build what's going on inside the shaker, and in this case it's going to be the little hexagons and the beehive. The bee I'm not going to put inside the shaker. He's going to sit on the front, and that way he doesn't completely get covered up. You also could totally make this a non-shaker tag. Leave out the acetate. You could just make a cute little flat frame. There is no rules. You can do whatever you want here. I did put a little bit of glue there in the center of my flowers, and then I'm going to pop the flower centers in so that can be drying before we get to the finished assembly. And where I've glued the hive in place, I'm simply going to flip it over and trim off anything hanging off the edge because I don't want that sticking out. On the back of the tag, I'm going to go back with that same little phrase that we used before from the whole hive. And we're going to do Happy Bee Day, and then from the whole hive. And that, of course, makes this the perfect coordinating set. I'm stamping this with VersaFine ONYX black ink. Hello, there's my head. And there's still plenty of room to write the recipient's name on there, or your name, or both. And wouldn't this be just a really cute little decorative piece after it's given? I think there's a lot of fun things that the recipient could do with this. So on the acetate, this would be one of those places where if you wanted to, you could stamp the little bee trail on white cardstock with black ink and use the coordinating die. If you don't have Stazon ink, I used black Stazon ink right here to stamp the bumblebee trail right on the acetate. And then I will pop up my butterfly with foam adhesive. I also took black Stazon ink and stamped the little buzz on the acetate window. Since most of our sentiments are on the back, it just adds a little, again, decorative element basically, and is not going to cover up too much. A little bit of our foam adhesive square on the back here. For assembling my shaker, I really love the waffle flower foam adhesive strips. They're super, super sticky. If you want, you could also die cut multiple layers of the frame and stack them behind if you would prefer not to use foam adhesive to give you that depth and dimension for shakers. If you use some of the longer waffle flower foam adhesive strips, what's amazing is you can simply bend it around the edge of a curved, or in this case, kind of more of an angled hexagon shape if you remove the backing. So I pulled it off the sheet and then I removed the other side of the backing, which you have to be a little careful since it's super sticky, but see how easy I'm able to bend that around the shape. So amazing and really quick. I didn't use the longest strip. I must have been out, so I'm piecing together 2 smaller strips right now. And then you're going to get to see like a funny, this is why I had to voice over. I was going to voice this over anyway, but it's a good thing that this wasn't a live video, maybe is what I should say. When I go to add the shaker material into the frame, I used some seed beads from Pretty Pink Posh. I think I used gosh, I want to say they're daffodil. They're really pale yellow. Well, I was being so careful with the container, but you know what happens? I end up spilling them all over my desk. I think I ended up having to pause the video and clean up. Oh yeah, see, I just completely bumped it, spilled it everywhere. I was so ticked. I'm gonna go ahead and just put the backer of our little scene in place. So that's secure and I don't have to worry about it. I like the little yellow seed beads. I thought they just were really a cute, fun way to do that. And then I am going to scoot everything. I put it on a piece of paper and funneled it back into the container, but I was so mad. I'm going to put the back on my little shaker tag as well. And then something that I totally love is when there is a tag set, there's the hole reinforcers. Lawn Fawn's fantastic about this. So there are hole reinforcers. There's another small hexagon shaped tag too, so there's 2 different sizes. I'm going to die cut 2 of the larger, and by large, it's not that large, size, to put one on the front and one on the back. Before I do that, I will glue my little flowers in place on my frame. I just love these little flowers. I think they're a fun touch as well. And I have a scrap of Lawn Fawn Black Licorice cardstock that I will just grab my die cutting machine. I forgot to die cut them. And there's some stray seed beads on my table. I always think I just think it's funny. I like to leave some of those things in the video so you can just see real life. You can tell that happens to me too. Often I will cut that out. But it happens. I guess I should be glad it didn't go on the floor into the carpet. I would have been so upset. No way to save it really that way. Vacuum. When we have the hole reinforcers for the front and the back, I will be gluing one on the front and one on the back, but because of that foam adhesive, it does make it a little bit wide and wonky up at the top. I do think I hold it up here in a minute to show you. So I'm going to kind of glue it all together and then pinch it together with tweezers so that the glue dries. I think it looks a little nicer that way. So here I'm putting a little glue in between all my different layers. And then reverse tweezers for the win. We're going to pinch that and let it sit and dry and finish our shaker tag with some black and white Lawn Trimmings twine. I don't know that this color is still available from Lawn Fawn. So you might want to, use something else. I hope this comes back because the black and white twine is my absolute favorite. And I have hardly any left. Look how cute! I can't get over how stinking cute this little shaker tag is. And then of course my crystal lacquer squirted out a drop where I didn't want it, but I am going to finish the center of the flowers with some crystal lacquer. Glossy Accents would do the same, or even Nuvo crystal drops, and I'm going to let that dry, and it makes the flower centers nice and glossy and raised. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this card, envelope, and matching shaker tag featuring the Lawn Fawn High Five Limited Edition Kit. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my Patreon members. Thank you guys so very much. If you would like to become a member of Patreon, please click the link in the description below. Here is another video featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to click the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.